once again. It is January 28th, or something like that. January 28th, 2021. We are here for GM's Tricks of the Trade, number something or the other. Chuck is knocked down again today, so we are on our own. We don't have any sweet, video roll-ins or any of that mess. It's just me and the beleaguered Tim on his poor internet far, far, far in the mountains. As always, we'll give this a little while and let people start wandering in. I assume that we have video and audio is all working. Tim, are we good? Are we good on all fronts? Good deal. Kill the trolls. That's the way to do it. Thirsty Bard. Alright, good deal. So we're all hobbled together for GM Tricks of the Trade. How's it going, Rhino? So I got a chance to look at the trailer for King Kong versus Godzilla. I gotta say, it looks pretty cool. I was very amused with them. At some point in the trailer, Kong punches Godzilla in the face. I just thought that was pretty awesome. I'm going to be torn on who I'm rooting for in that movie. I'm a huge fan of both monsters. First movie I ever went to was Godzilla and the Smog Monster back in 75 or something. So Godzilla all the way. Whenever Godzilla versus the Smog Monster came out, that's the first movie I remember going to. It scared the living crap out of me, that opening sequence with the smog and whatever in the bay as the Smog Monster comes out. It's probably one reason I keep my yard clean all the time. It probably scarred me in some way. King Kong can only win through massive *𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐝𝐞 machina. Yeah, I guess the original King Kong is not nearly as big as Godzilla, so you got an issue. And I know they made him bigger in Kong Island so that they could make this movie. I presume that's what's going on. How's it going, Commander Pete? Come on, Godzilla is a giant lizard dude. I bet Godzilla's got what? Huge scale. He's got a lightning bolt. He's got all this kind of stuff, and he's not stupid. I mean, he's king of the lizards for a reason, or king of the monsters. I guess that's not king of the lizards, but King Kong's just so cool, and he had a romance with that woman. I can't remember her name. That sequence. How's it going, Epi? How's it going, Lord Dalius? That scene. And now I don't dislike any of the Kong movies. My favorite, I liked the Jack Black one for quite a while, but my favorite I've just drifted right back into the 1933 or 36 edition movie, whatever. How's it going, Bloodwalk? And I love the sequence. I just love the whole movie, but where he's on the Empire State Building, and he leaps up and he smacks the airplane, and he doesn't crush it in his fist. He just knocks it, breaks part of the wing, and the plane spirals off and crashes. So Kong is a very, I don't want to say realistic, but a very contained monster, whereas Godzilla is Godzilla. He's Godzilla. We need to. Well, I hope she's doing well. Epi, are you just there for a visit? Hopefully she's not ill or anything, and you're just enjoying I'm not sure you enjoy Dallas. I like Dallas. It's a good town, but it's got a pulse to it. Dallas moves. I believe, if I remember correctly, Dallas is one of the few towns that was actually created and founded not near a river. There's no water source. Most towns and cities are built on rivers for a reason, obviously. Dallas was not. I guess a river of oil, maybe? I don't know. I don't know why they did what they did. How's it going, Bifford? That's good to hear, Epi. You never know in these crazy days. We've got there's a lot of craziness going on. There's a lot of craziness going on today The stock market, if you guys have been following any of that absolute madness with the Reddit folks. I shouldn't say folks. It's not like it's whatever. It's just a thread that is encouraging people to buy GameStop, and it's caused quite a ripple in the market. Quite a ripple. Steve, are you related to Brian Cox and also a life stealer who never ages because you're not human? I swear you guys get younger. It's the lighting, man. Actually, it's not. It's the Dr. Pepper. Didn't that woman... there was a woman she's like 103 years old, and she credited Dr. Pepper with keeping her alive. I think I must follow her. Follow her in that. I lost $70 on GameStop. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, that stuff is gone. I don't know. It's just wild, and I know it's on a certain level. It's very serious business. I get all of that stuff, but it's something else what that community, that thread was able to do, and I think it cost the one hedge fund $2.7 billion. Who was it? Melvin Capital lost $2.7 billion Tuesday because they were shorting the stock, and the stock closed at $3.85. They shorted it to 20 or to $16.95 or some craziness. It's been an interesting, and today, you know, I am not at all going to wax political. I have no interest in doing any of that. But today, we watched Senator Cruz and Representative, I cannot say her name, Costasia, AOC, they call her, I guess. And who else do we see? Ben Shapiro, Senator Warren. They all came together, not willingly, surely not willingly, but they all came together condemning, you know, some of these hedge fund companies and some of the trading companies. It's been a wild day here in the United States. So, so there you go. Oh, I just bought Call of Duty 3. That's all. There you go. That's the issue. The funny thing about GameStop is, or GameStop, whatever. I used to go there all the time, but when we shifted to digital, we stopped going. And I'm not. Robinhood stopped trading on something. Yeah, well, it got worse than that, Geek Preacher. Robinhood, not only did they stop trading, they started selling people shares unknowingly. So there's going to be a lot of. The first lawsuits have already been slammed up. This is going to get a lot crazier before it's done. It's just going to be nuts, and it has been nuts, and it's going to get nuttier as we proceed forward. I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. Freedom is not messy. Our freedom is not clean. It's very messy. This is where we are. But GameStop is, I mean, it sells games, and everyone downloads games now, so I'm not sure the long-term viability of that company. Who knows? Hopefully they make it, because we need retail stores, and we need places that sell games. Robinhood did worse than stock trading. They stopped buying only, and they let people sell, thereby forcing the price back down. Oh yeah, no, it's Robinhood's. I suspect Robinhood's in a lot of trouble. And many people don't know, but Robinhood is actually owned by Capital Group, and Capital is the group that bailed out Citadel Group, and Citadel is the one that bailed out Melvin Capital. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here that's going to end up in the courts, and it's probably not going to end up prettily in the courts. I still buy games there. I'm old and like to hold it. There you go. You know, we did forever today. We got my all-time favorite game, GTA 5. I absolutely love that game. We bought it when it came out 1,000 years ago, and the CD got destroyed, so we went back to GameStop. We bought it again, and then the CD got destroyed again a few months later. I had a lot of kids in the house in those days, and they've since kind of grown up. But on the third, we downloaded it to the Xbox. So I remember that kind of shifted the family's thinking, oh, wait a minute, we can download these things and nobody can put Coke on it, use it as a coaster or a Frisbee or whatever they did to those poor CDs. But I hear you, Grimper. They also sell some D&D box sets I bought my wife. Oh, no, that's cool. See, I know that they've kind of branched out a little bit, and I hope that they do. I mean, I wish them all the luck in the world. Small businesses and medium businesses. GameStop is not small. It's not easy. Not easy running a business. It gets kind of very tough, and it's cool to see them thrive. And it's nice to see. Whatever the motivations of the community over at Reddit are. I don't know. I don't pretend to know. I don't pretend to judge people. Whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna do. But I think some of them genuinely want to help GameStop stay alive. And that's pretty cool. And that's good for those folks. So I don't think I've ever been to a GameStop, though. To be fair, I haven't bought a video game in 20 plus years. There you go. I bought my daughter My Little Ponies D&D themed figures there for Christmas. Well, there you go. That's cool. So hopefully they're branching out and they're able to do that. I know videos coming in like a wrecking ball. There's no doubt. I mean, I read a lot of financial news. Not that I understand half of it, but I read a lot of it trying to understand what's going on. I feel as if I read financial news, I'll get some kind of idea what's going on in the world. It's not partisan. It's not painted in a particular, thematic color. But and I completely lost my train of thought with the whole GameStop thing. Theaters. Yeah, I read somewhere that Disney is working very, very hard towards cornering the streaming market. I'm not sure what they meant by that. Obviously, Netflix is gigantic and Hulu is huge, and I'm sure there's other ones that I don't even know about, Crackle or whoever they are. But digital is coming in like a wrecking ball. In fact, one of the other companies that they were supporting over in that Reddit thread was AMC Theaters, because they have suffered grievously both from the pandemic, but they've also suffered from a slow, migration of moviegoers from theaters to the home. And I'm a perfect example of that. I would say for the first 15 years of TLG's history, myself, Todd Gray, Mac Golden, Chris Harris, and Mark Sandy, and Davis Chenault, when he was around, all went to the movies every Sunday night without fail. It didn't matter if there was nothing to watch, we'd watch something bad. We went every Sunday night, spent whatever, collectively, a couple $100, couple of $1,000. I don't know. Movies are crazy expensive. The popcorn is, but none of us do that anymore. I think Todd goes about once every month or so now, and that's it. And it's even during COVID. Todd loves the theater, but So I think that a natural migration that was already happening is being really pushed forward by the streaming. It's just so much easier. You can pause it. You can do whatever. Go get your popcorn. Your popcorn can cost $12 for a bucket of popcorn. But so I think that all of these venues are under huge pressure from the digital side of things anyways. So whatever companies are doing to kind of push that forward isn't helping the mess. It's a mess. It's just nice to have a store to walk into and ask some freaking questions. Yeah, that is always that's always a pleasure. It's one reason I don't go to like Home Depot and Lowe's and the bigger. I always go to a hardware store where I can talk to someone who's got experience with tools and whatnot. You can sometimes do that at Home Depot and sometimes you do that at Lowe's, but sometimes you can't. It's hit or miss. We bought some game-related toys and collectibles for our kids at GameStop. We used to go all the time. We were always, all my kids are gamers. We went a lot, but I don't think we've stepped in one. No, we got some Steam cards a couple years back for Christmas. Yeah, interesting. I agree with the Geek Preacher that employees also give good recommendations. Disney is reported to bring in $500 million plus every month, so why do movies in theaters? There you go. That's the thing, and they've got, of course, some of the biggest movie, I guess, money generating properties, right? They got, what is it? Star Wars. I should just go to bed on that one. Star Wars, Indiana Jones. I don't know. They got the Simpsons. I don't watch a lot of Disney, so I'm not sure. But they haven't got Dark Star yet, so it doesn't matter. If the day Disney gets Dark Star, that means it's over. It's just over. But they don't have Dark Star, to my knowledge. Dark Star it holds on to its own. If you haven't seen Dark Star, go watch it. It is a fantastic movie, made '67 by the guy who created Aliens. It is something. It's 5 hippies in space, blowing up planets, fighting a beach ball. You can't do better. I worked at a movie theater for many years, so I'll always prefer them. Yeah, I did too. Barry, I worked at a theater for quite a while. Absolutely loved that job. Loved that job, especially when you get to go check on the movies. Yeah, make sure everything's good, and you just kind of stand there and watch the movies for a while. Concessions is where theaters get you. Oh yeah, isn't that? Oh yeah. That thing will start you. I can't remember that stuff. And I watched the first episode of Mandalorian, and I never followed through. I have no idea why. It was good. I never did pick it back up. Let's see. So rules question, Steve. Can a bard use fog cloud in C&C like a smoke cloud? No, I don't think bards have magical ability. I don't believe they do. I have to double check, but I do not think that they can. I mean, smoke machine. They can use a smoke machine. They can certainly use a smoke machine. How's it going, Clever? I love the argument with the nuclear bomb. Yeah. So mphi knows what I'm talking about. Dark Star is just an absolutely fantastic movie because it ends with them, like M5 says, he has a, what do they call it? Well, it's a philosophical discussion about what defines life. It is absolutely, it is a movie worth watching. Take an hour and a half, kick back, watch it. It's 1970s, it's crazy. Or 60s, I think it's 68, I don't know. But Disney does not own Dark Star. Okay, I wanted to know if anyone can use fog cloud to make a smoke machine for a bard's concert. Probably so. Surely someone can cast fog cloud and make a, how's it going, Ultra Magnus? And make a fog machine. And I guess a bard may want the fog machine too as they walk out onto the Dumaflachi. Oh, good deal. So I've been talking to Ernie Gygax all day today about Memorial Tomb, finishing up a couple of things. I'll mute that so it doesn't disturb me anymore, but he just sent some more files that I need. So good on Ernie and Ben. We are moving that thing into portions of Memorial Tomb into the print side of things. But we are actually here for GM's Tricks of the Trade. This is my weekly sit down with all of this mess. And Dark Star comes up a lot in Alien making of features because of Dan O'Bannon's. Yeah, he wrote. Did he star in Dark Star? I think he stars in Dark Star. I think he wrote and stars in Dark. It's one of he made the movie a long time ago in a little bitty warehouse in California. It's freaking awesome. Always watch Dark Star when you get the chance. There you go. Kapow! At any rate, we are here for GM's Tricks of the Trade, and we're doing kind of a throwback. I think it's the third or fourth one that we did. A lot of these we don't have videos on, and both Tim and Chuck have been trying to wrangle me into getting all of them up, just archived. So we got them on YouTube or Odyssey or wherever we're putting these crazy things. So we're going to do a throwback this week. We got a big one that we're working on. It's an actual how-to play role-playing game, so I want to get to that one, but I want to do a little bit more in that vein. I really want to film a little 2 to 3 minute video on how to play role-playing games, CNC in specific, so that it all kind of comes in sync. The whole thing, the GM's Tricks of the Trade is in sync with the release of a little how-to video for new players, and maybe get some other industry folks in here just to jibber-jabber about how to get new players playing the game. That's always an interesting issue. If you've played for a long time and someone new sits down at the table, to kind of get them over the top on how to play it. Because there's a little bit of a learning curve. There's an imaginative learning curve where you have to kind of figure out, visualize the dynamics at the table between the castle keeper, or the GM, whatever. I guess we're at GM. So the GM, but the dynamic between the GM and the players. So I think there's a lot to be discussed there, but it's got to be contained because no one wants a 17-hour instructional video on how to play a role-playing game. No one on Earth wants that, so I certainly don't want to do one. So a very quick 2 to 3 minute video would be cool. And we'll tag that all together. But today's Tricks of the Trade is some archival stuff. Either the third or fourth. Tim, if you're still out there, let us know which one it is. Either the third or the fourth set of tricks that we put out. So these are kind of a jumbled mixed. How's it going, Tabletop Santa? You were summoned. There you go. Industry folks, there you go. No, Tabletop. A 17-hour tutorial does not sound beautiful. It sounds exhausting. I can barely make it through a 2-hour movie anymore. I get so bored, and I think I've gotten to that point. I'm definitely no longer in the demographics of what Hollywood is making. There is no doubt in my mind about that. There's so many things I'm looking for. Again, I guess it's not even what I'm looking for. It's I can see where shows are going so very quickly for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. And as soon as I see where they're going, I get bored and I stop paying attention. And then I wake up, 15 minutes later and I have no idea what's going on. So it's I've gotten pretty select in what I watch. So a 17-hour tutorial on anything would be just nightmares. I just can't imagine it. It's beautiful down. See, I do get Chuck to make the video in character. Of course, he must wear his magic hat. There you go. There you go. Dump stats. Part 22. Exactly. We don't need any of that. Nobody needs any of that. Let's see the movie. Exactly. Is it Luke himself or is it 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐝? Is 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐝 joined us today? That would be fantastic. Yeah, we are, just to let everyone know, we're doing a giveaway at some point. I'm not even certain what it is. It might be, I'm surely it's another. Well, it didn't work. I'll ask Tim, our 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐝, his TikTok. It's Luke himself at 𝐓𝐫𝐢𝐜 on there. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. It's a $50 coupon. So at some point tonight, this afternoon, we're going to give a $50 coupon away. But let's dive into the first trick of the trade. Today, as a lot of you who follow the stream a lot, they're kind of thematically developed, but in the early Gems Tricks of the Trade newsletters, they were not. It was just 5 things that I do or suggest you do at the table. And as always with these things, when I throw something out there, please throw back your own your comments and things that you do and reactions, whatever. This particular Twitch stream has become a really great learning stream for a lot of us, I think, where we can feed off of one another, learn from one another, and just pick up, tricks of the trade, so that when we're running games or sitting in games, we got a little bit more. So your experience, make it my experience, and we'll make it everybody's experience. And we'll all be a happy family at the table. I waxed hippie there for a minute. All right, so the first trick of the trade in today's trick is... Thank you, Clever. Now if we could spread the word of the stream, that would be even better. So the first trick of the trade tonight is liven up your combat. This is one of my favorite things to do. When I'm describing combat, I try to never just say, you take 6 points of damage, or you take 2 points of damage. I try to throw some kind of verbiage in there, adjectives, whatever, verbs, whatever, to liven the language up. The knife eviscerates you. It opens the flesh along your arm. It hits you so hard in the helmet that you see stars. Anything to kind of make the player see something more than just stats on the page. And this goes for most anything, but specifically for combat. If you get away from just the dice, which are obviously the center of the whole thing, and get into a little bit of a literary context, it makes it more fun for everybody, and it makes it people can start seeing things. And even if I've said this 1,000 times using trees as the example, even if they don't know exactly what you're saying or what you're trying to describe, it conjures some kind of image, and that's really what you want to do. You just want to conjure an image, whether it's a completely accurate image, that's not relevant. You just want them to be seeing things unfold in their mind, and when someone takes a bite to the head and it lacerates their ear and part of their nose, suddenly they realize, oh, I can see this, I can see the blood. You can taste the blood in your mouth. I do a lot of blood in eyes. Which is interesting. I've seen that a lot in TV shows. The Punisher does it, and I'm watching the Barbarians now, and there's a lot of blood soaking down the face and getting into the eyeball or the eye rupturing, and it's great stuff. It looks horribly painful, but bring that to your combat. Bring that to your combat rounds, and I think your table will be a lot happier for it. I take a bopper sword or a sandbag and hit my players with them so they can see and feel the damage that their characters take sandbags for spells. That'd be awesome. What? you might get a lawsuit against you. I do remember I didn't play with him much, but a DM did. I would sit in on his game occasionally. Todd and I would. If he got angry, he would throw dice at people, and it was absolutely insane. I remember Todd and I were sitting there the first time, and these dice went flying across the screen. We were like, what the hell? It was really funny. Though he wasn't doing it for any kind of literary value to add to his whatever. It was just, he was angry throwing dice at people. quoting Robert E. Howard's Conan books are great for describing fights, particularly for when someone loses all their hit points. Absolutely, Cabin Commando. If you'll sit down before your game and read 2 pages of any Conan novel or short story or whatever, Howard, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be Conan, it can be there's a bunch of westerns, there's a bunch of pugilist stuff, boxing stuff. You're gonna get some good descriptive text that comes across. No one really, I'm a huge Howard fan. He's not, my favorite writer. That'd probably be Tolkien, but not even Tolkien. Nobody can touch or come close to Howard's ability to create an evocative moment or just that, an evocative moment in so few words that I've ever seen. I mean, it is absolutely effortless what he writes. The way you read it, it is anyways. It's just some amazing stuff. If you've not read Howard, definitely go read some Howard. And it is a good thing to read before your games, without a doubt. They all have to sign waivers. They hate when I squeeze fake Halloween blood in their faces when they take extreme damage. That would be awesome. If you want them to cry, throw some vinegar in their eyes or something. That'd be great. This is Tabletop Santa's interactive game with him and beware. I will now throw dice at my players and tell them it was a hint given to me by Trollord Cantor. You don't do that, Thirsty Bart. Trick of the trade number 2, hurl things at the players. Yeah, that's no good because someone's going to swallow it and choke on it. And we're all going to get sued. It's going to be no good. Pulls out here with the aerosol can. Like, this is what you feel as a dragon breathes fire on you. Man, this stuff would be great. This would be a great movie. The true LARP game where beware. That would be great. Steve, are you working on any fiction? I know you're busy, but I thought I would ask. Yes, Robert E. Howard is fantastic. Yes, I am, actually. I've written 2 pieces of fiction. Here's one of them. I can't of the frog something. I can't damn it remember what that thing's called. Tales of the Frog God. No, that's not. That's Bill Webb's company. I can't remember. Frog something. But then I did The Mirrored Soul, which is a collection of short stories, and I'm working on the there's 4 short stories in each of those. And I'm following the adventures of 𝐓𝐫𝐤𝐬 and Ava the Ranger. I've written 8 so far, and I've got, of the next group of 4, which will bring it up to 12, of course, I've written 3, and I'm working on the 4th now. I hope to have that out relatively soon. That's part of this year's goal, is to bring out more of this fiction for Aired. One, just to kind of let people see Aired, but also I think there's some great stories to be told. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be critical. I don't often criticize other writers, and I'm not criticizing anyone's particular, but D&D movies and D&D fiction, probably minus Dragonlance. Dragonlance is really good stuff. By and large, starts with, and I really should just say the movies. They have this incongruent group of people, and it's more goofy than it is. And that's not really necessarily how these things need to evolve. If you want the evolution of a D&D party that's almost flawlessly done, because it just sneaks up on you, is the Lord of the Rings. I mean, we start out with Frodo, then we get Sam, and there's more adventures, and then we get Pippin and Merry, and then there's more, and then Gandalf, and then we get the other 4 knuckleheads, and then you've got an elf, a dwarf, a wizard, and you've got some thieves. And suddenly you've got a great adventuring party. And that kind of thematically is the way I'm trying to do this. The first 2 short stories are just 𝐓𝐫𝐤𝐬. The next one, he meets Ava, who kind of saves him from a bad area. And then the next is those 2 on an adventure together. And then they kind of work so well together. She wants to see the broader world from beyond the Darkenfold. She's an experienced ranger. He's an experienced knight. So then they head out, and they meet on the way a dwarf who they rescued, and then he leaves, and then they meet a priest who gets tangled up with a dryad, and then he's out. So that's kind of how I'm doing it. I'm trying to build the thing over time so that the viewer isn't suddenly just this group of incongruent people are thrust upon them. That I don't particularly care for that. So that's actually uppermost in my fiction is what I'm trying to do. And I'm working on a novella for them based in and around what is it called? The Dunhollow Woods and Dunhollow Pools. The Last Kingdom is a great TV show. You're a high fantasy guy, but don't want to admit it. Some of us are more redneck than you and love our sword and sorcery more, Howard, Lieber, and the rest. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy Howard, but I'm a Tolkien guy. I absolutely love Tolkien. I've never read much Lieber, bizarrely enough. I have read maybe a couple of 𝐓𝐫𝐸𝐿 and 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐝. I don't know why. Where the hell do you find the time? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Because it's absolutely insane around here. Which one of the things Tim and I are working on really hard is to get me some protected time, like 2 hours a day or something like that. That's all I'm doing is writing. And we've done pretty good so far this year. We got a huge release coming for the World Anvil, World of Air stuff. A good 6,000 words, 6-page, whatever it was. Document on Arenal, this magical wizards guild. So, I don't know. It's not easy. It's fun though. I can't complain. One of these days, I want a 𝐓𝐫𝐸𝐿 and 𝐓𝐵𝐿 series. That would be interesting. I've only read, like I said, a couple of those stories, but I don't know why. I like Lieber. I got quite a few of his novels over there. I'm not sure why. I didn't. And I went through a period where I read an absolute ton of stuff from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, because the fiction, before Tolkien became everything, and I remember in the mid-late 80s, it shifted from just fantasy fiction to trilogies. Everything became a trilogy, and obviously it did so because of the success of The Lord of the Rings post-1970 or whatever. And it was just, I don't know, it's cool, but a lot of you can just tell a story and move on to another story. That's perfectly acceptable. You don't have to have, 9 books and just tell a story and then move on to the next one. And that's, I don't know if it's still, I haven't checked fantasy fiction out in a while, so I'm not sure if it's gone full circle or what we're doing with that stuff these days. I'm hoping for 𝐓𝐫𝐸𝐜 Cycle and Black Company series. I'd like to see some Elric is what I'd like to see. During combat, I describe the enemy's attacks, yells, insults. However, I have the players describe their critical attacks and finishing blows. That's a good point, Virtual Wizard. Try to always get your players to do the same. Describe how they're swinging the blade, or if they're holding their shield up, trying to block the arrows. Whatever it is, the more you can get the players involved, the better it is for the table at large, and for them, because they just get more excited. They feel like they're more in the combat than they were before. So that's a fantastic idea, Virtual Wizard. Always, and I'm going to start some of these GM's tricks of the trade. I'm going to shift into players' tricks of the trade, and I'm going to kind of focus on things players can do to help the game as well. I mean, this is a group of people that are collectively gaming, and obviously the GM is the adjudicator and kind of sets the tone, but the players have a huge part to do with it as well. And if they don't do their part, then the game lags because of that. That's a great idea. The used bookstores of the 1980s had me reading all of those books. It didn't hurt that they had successive reading listening to the MG. Yeah, I used to go, we've talked about this before. I would take a third of my paycheck. I worked in a meat market back in college, and then I flipped burgers. I would take a third of my paycheck. Most went to rent and food and utilities, but I'd take a third of my paycheck every 2 weeks and go to Walden Books, and I would just buy as many books as I possibly could. Little, science fiction books at $2, $3 a pop, and go home and read them. So there's this, and I got a huge collection of them. There's this wide swath of just independent fantasy that's just stories that have nothing to do with the ending of the world, or Mount Doom, or the sword of this, or the whatever this, or da-da-da. It's just a story about a guy doing whatever, or a gal doing whatever. Nice molded poster. Afternoon. How's it going, Matt Barnager? I absolutely love the X-Files. I'm actually into season 6, episode 20, I think. I'm rewatching the whole thing. The X-Files is just fantastic. That's why I like the Harper series and the Forgotten Realms books lines. Yeah, those were cool. I read a few of those. That's what I like. Just get to it. I have enjoyed 3 Hearts, 3 Lions, and the Broken Sword. You can see another take on the Law versus Chaos in original basic D&D. Is that a show, or are those books? That sounds like books. Cabot, those sounds like books. There was the Misenchanted Sword, Lawrence Watt Evans. It was a great series of books not a series, they're just books. Lawrence Watt Evans was a good one in those days. I liked it. Actually, she did a series, Catherine Kurtz, Camber Chronicles of Camber? I can't remember. Some good books. There's some really good stuff. Since I'm rereading The Lord of the Rings, I've kind of got a little bit of the Daenerys series. I've kind of gotten interested in going back into fantasy, so I may start poking around the bookstore to see if there's something that I'm interested in. Probably not, but I'm too engrossed in history reading these days. That's what made Lieber's book so good. They were just stories, and you don't know. Yeah, exactly. They're just no bigger picture. This is what Faffer's doing. This is what the 𝐓𝐫𝐤𝐬's doing. Move. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Books by Paul Anderson. Yep, he was good. Very, very good. Camera of Cold Eye. Those were good. Yeah, it's just good stuff. I took my glasses off now. I can't read what you wrote. Riddle Master of Head. I don't know if I read those. Surely I did. I'm a font geek of fantasies. Yes, all great. There's some fantastic stuff. Forgot we were doing James Tricks of the Trade and not just discussing fantasy fiction. Okay, so the second trick of the trade in today's tricks is for those of you out there who primarily do dungeon adventures, try some Overland stuff. Overland adventures really offer so many more opportunities for the game master than dungeon adventures do. You have far more ability to maneuver things. It's much more fluid. There's more encounters. The individual players, their characters aren't kind of restricted as they are underground. I mean, some are very restricted. A paladin underground is relatively restricted. A rogue or a thief is going to do fantastic underground. But Overland, don't toss Overland aside for just dungeon after dungeon after dungeon. Try to do some string it between them. If you love doing dungeons, that's great. Have the dungeon here and dungeon B 7 days over, and have them do an Overland adventure en route. Have a couple of planned encounters or one planned encounter, and just randomly roll some. Have them set up camps, choose watches, the whole 9 yards. Do a little bit of Overland. Overland is good. It's fun. And for me, I've learned over the years it offers far more fluidity to the game. You have much more control over what's going on than you do otherwise, than you do under a dungeon, and it gives the players a much greater chance to engage, which is something you always want to do. So give Overland a try. Don't ever forget your Overland there. If we can get Steven to get Troller Games on TikTok, if we can get him to 1,000 followers in a month, maybe he will do the floss dance for us. Oh, I'll do the floss dance. If we can get 1,000 followers on TikTok, no idea what's on TikTok. I watch a little bit of it on YouTube. That's about it. Trick of the trade 2, avoid distractions. The first step is this, look, squirrel. Yeah, exactly. There's a squirrel right on there. You got it, Bloodwild. I forget what we're doing here. We need to just have a round robin on AMA and kind of merge everything together. Is there a CNC primer for Overland Adventures? There is not, except in the Castle Keeper's Guide, Chapter 6, I think. Covers Overland and gives you a good idea of what things to put there, how to put them, and people like that. I probably need to kind of write up in this concept of how-tos. I would say 95% of my gaming is Overland. I do very little dungeons, and when I do, they're very little dungeons. So Overland is really what I enjoy the most, from the weather, to the terrain, to the monsters, to the players' interactions, to NPCs, towns, villages, all of it, the whole 9 yards. Let's see. I don't think we can handle it. Oh, yeah. I'd forever Overland in river settings. I prefer. I'm going to say that says prefer. That's what I'm assuming you wrote there. Yeah, prefer. Okay. Yeah, I do too. I love, and actually the river setting for me, for new players to CNC is my favorite thing to do, because crossing a river can be extraordinarily challenging, dangerous, and rewarding if you can get to the other side. Rivers are a great way to break someone into a new game system. I'll just throw that tip out there as well. Overland gives more opportunities for NPC and absolutely, and that's the thing. Overland gives so much. The dungeon is so controlled in the directions they can move and the things that are there, especially if you're being realistic, and then those players who can actually interact with what's the environment is going on. And Overland has none of those restrictions, from NPCs to monsters to terrain to weather. All of these things suddenly are coming into play, and you can do them or not do them as you see fit. So Overland is really, for me, it's the way to go. Once you start getting into it, and it's not hard, it can be challenging because you got to describe the terrain as they're passing through it, give them a little bit of weather. Then they're going to have to, and this is one of the things I'm coaching my one group into, they're all new players. They got to tell me what they do, who's keeping watch, when they're keeping watch, how they're keeping watch. Now this last game we played, they were all keeping watch by meditating, whittling. It was funny. They actually weren't keeping watch. They were paying attention to something else, and they suffered grievously for it. Grievously. I have personally failed to cross a river with Steve. There you go, Berry Kingdom. There's a lot of people that fall into that and fall into the river and float away. Yes, rivers can be extremely challenging. You can really give a different feel for different areas of the campaign world by having set random encounter tables for the various locations. Yep, that's a great idea, Cabot. There, when you do that, you're suddenly setting what's there. You know, what kind of monsters live in this type of terrain and what they can encounter, and you've developed that area. So if you play it more than once, 2, 3, 5, 10 times, your players will then learn, if we go to these mountains of X, that's where we are more likely to encounter the wyverns or whatever it is. Then you get into this thing where they become Aragorn. They're the ones with the experienced hand on how to do these things or what's going on. And that changes the whole game when they're 6th, 7th level and the player's memory brings out things you did in the past in this particular terrain or area. It's awesome because they're now living in it. And that's kind of where you want it to be. You want everyone to be a part of what's going on. Feel like they're a part of it. Okay, I noticed someone shouting raffle at me over here. We are going to do a raffle now. Is that what we're doing? Tim, so throw up the instructions. So I think that for this $50 coupon, you type in ! and raffle, and it automatically picks you somehow. I'm not sure. Not too bad environment settings. So Arctic and high seas. My current homebrew world is in the Ice Age that has been going on for 1,000 years-ish. I mean, who really keeps track of it? Exactly. That's badass. If you can do sea adventures, that is something cool. Good luck, Clever. All right, so we're going to dive into number 3 because we're starting to eat up time like usual. So this is one of the things I do. I establish a procedure at the table, a procedure of combat. And what I'm talking about is every game, every time there's a combat, if you do it the same way, if you interact with your players the same way, you'll get it'll help flow a lot more. For instance, I always start on my right. I have the fellow sitting on my right, roll initiative, and then go to the next one, and the next one, all the way around to my left. And this way, everybody kind of knows what's happening, and everybody has, when the orcs are attacking, everybody can kind of know when and how they're going to have to react. The person on the right is going to have to react first, but the person on my left has a second or 2, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it turns out to be, to figure out what they are actually going to do. And once you start doing this, once you've got yourself a procedure set up and you've done it for 10 games or 12 games or whatever it is, things will change for you because now you can wreck that procedure, change that procedure quite suddenly, and it'll cause chaos at the table. And this chaos at the table is very beneficial because it's really one of our best tools as GMs. It's one of our best tools to make players feel like something's not right. It's unsettled. It's not working the way it's supposed to be, and make them nervous as the encounter's coming. So for instance, if I have player 1, player 2, 3, 4, and this is what I do all the time, and then I say the orcs are attacking player 3, I need you to roll initiative, or I need you to roll a wisdom check. Suddenly everything's upset. The balance is broken. Everything's kind of off kilter now. Why is he asking player 3? Normally he asks player 1. What's going on? And it just causes a little bit of confusion. It's going to be the closest thing we get to the shaky camera syndrome that they do in war movies now after Saving Private Ryan. But it's just a good way to unsettle your players, to kind of get them into the moment. Is a good way of putting it. Just getting them into the moment. All right, so we got lots of people in the raffle. That's good. I think we still got time, so keep throwing in there if you have not already. We got a $50 raffle going on. Toss that in. Toss your name into the hat, I suppose. Okay, so this 4th trick of the trade, and we always have to barrel through the last 3 because I spend too much time jibber-jabbering about movies. Jim never wants a second cup of coffee at home. There you go. This 4th trick of the trade, and this is just a personal preference. I know a lot of tables do group initiatives, and you keep that initiative. So if you roll 6, then it's 6 for the rest of the combat. Well, I'm glad, Clever, because I could jibber-jabber. And that's great as far as it goes. For me, I've never enjoyed that. One of the things I know players really like to roll dice. Everyone likes to roll dice. And if you allow them to roll initiative for each round of combat, it gives you two things. One, they get to roll more dice. There's just a lot more dice rolling, more interactive, less likely that they're going to get bored or fall asleep or wander off as someone's round takes too longer. But two, it adds that level of chaos. You don't always know whose turn it is. If you do one static dice, everybody rolls. You keep that roll for the whole thing. And the GM's going to roll X, and that's it. Now we know everybody's procedure. There's no chaos to it. We all can kind of anticipate what's coming. If you have them roll dice each time, there you go. 𝐓𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐤𝐬. That's a great way of putting it. It's the turning of combat. It changes up. You don't know what's going to happen next round. A monster might have initiative, or you might lose initiative, or the guy next to you who lost last time might have it. It just adds a whole level of chaos to it. And churning. Where did I see that? I saw that word yesterday, churning. The Great Churn. What was I watching? I watched episode 1 of Barbarians. I don't know. Where did I see the word churn? Video on making butter. I would like to make my own butter. I'm a huge fan of butter, and I'd love to make my own butter someday. The Expanse, yes. I saw an essay on The Expanse, and that one guy says churn. That's where it was. I think I read you say that about. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe I heard myself, but I think that one guy says the churn. I can't remember. So I don't. 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐝𝐞, whatever your name is, however you pronounce that. I actually don't keep track of initiative. If it's like one monster and everybody's attacking it, then I'll roll and everybody roll, and I just kind of pay attention to what they roll, and then I go, you go, I go, you go, you go. But if it's a wave of knuckleheads coming in, as often as not, each individual player is going to be in their own combat. If it's a lot of monsters, sometimes they'll be helping each other. But so I have this person roll initiative with me, and then I roll, and we start resolving that combat. And usually, what I'll do to keep the kind of pace going, before I've resolved with player 1, I'll tell player 2 to roll initiative. So then I'll start rolling an initiative for player 2 as I'm finishing up player 1, and then started on player 1 or player 2, and I'll tell player 3 to roll initiative. So I try to always keep something going. But if it's mixed up, you really don't have to track it, because every round it's going to change. I don't keep mine. I change mine as well. I roll initiative each round, and frequently I'll roll. If there's more monsters, then I'll roll for each monster, unless it's like if there's 4 monsters on one player, then I'll roll initiative once, and the player rolls initiative that way. So I don't keep track of it too much. I just bought the one in the Classic Stein. Excellent. There you go. Did someone win? Did we get a winner? I don't know. For large groups, I use parts of initiative from older versions of D&D. Ranged attacks first, spells next, melee last, then you roll your initiative for whatever. Yeah, I generally speaking don't. I don't like to break it down like that. It's a great idea. It's a good way to order things, Geek Preacher, but I just roll with it. It's what you get is what you keep. Now, if the spell takes like one casting segment, and this is where I'll break it down in my head. So if you're a spellcaster and you roll a 5, or you roll a 2, say, and I roll a 3, or even a 2, I might if the spell goes off very quickly, I might allow the spell to go simultaneously or even before. But frequently I don't even get that detailed with it. If you win, you go. If you lose, you lose, and you can call to not do it. But I don't have to track it too much. So I'm not sure if I re-entered to do this. Then if you switch up how you're going to attack in a different way, say you move from range to melee, you may go after other members of the party, unlike the past round. Yeah, that is definitely a way to do it. That it brings order to it and allows some shifting. But I generally I just want as much chaos at the table as I can get, and I want them rolling as many dice as I possibly can. There's just so many reasons for it. But primarily they love rolling dice, and I like the chaos, and I don't want anyone to know what's happening next round or be able to even anticipate more than just a little bit. Yeah, chaos. And chaos is a good thing in these games, I think, because too often we sit there and we're just rolling and waiting. But it's one reason I try to do 2 players simultaneously, so that everybody's at least, a third of the table is doing something very active. And this is where it gets back to where establishing a procedure like I talked about earlier, because I'll have, my normal initiative, and then in the middle of I'll be doing player 1, I'll tell player 2 to roll initiative, and then I'll pop over to player 5 and say, hey, I need you to roll initiative too. Well, now it's just going to cause chaos everywhere, because now they don't know what's going on. Why is player 5 getting involved? Something's happening, a dragon's coming, whatever it is. Winter Ultra Magnus. There we go. Did that pop up there? we messed that up completely, Berry Kingdom. That's fantastic. That's absolutely great. So this last trick of the trade, it just rolls in perfectly with what we're saying. It's just be fluid at the table. Overland adventures allow you to be extremely fluid. If you have them going to, say, an encounter area where there's a dryad, and you have it here at the end of the creek, where the creek bends or whatever, but they go over onto the ridgeline, you can just pick that encounter area up and put it in front of them. The initiatives, the calling people out, to what they're doing, whatever, the procedures, all of these things are fluid, and that's our last trick of the trade, is just keep your table fluid. Don't let anyone get... An RPG table, in my opinion, is not somewhere where you want people to get comfortably established in a routine. You don't want a routine at the table, because then people know when they can look at their phones. They know how long they have to look at their phones, or to get up and go get popcorn, or whatever, the 10 million other distractions that everybody has at the tables. Because as soon as they leave that table, as soon as they walk away or look down, which is infinitely worse, you're losing them, and you've lost them, and getting them back takes 10 times more effort than actually keeping them there with some kind of chaos, some kind of fluidity, dice rolling, whatever it is, to keep them kind of engaged at the table. Keep it fluid, and it'll go better for you. It's chaotic. It can be very exhausting. It's one reason when I run larger groups for multiple hours, I walk away from it just tired. But it's a good tired, because it's always fun. What do we got here? Love that clever potion illustration you were showing up. Yeah, that thing is absolutely awesome. That's a Zoe Devos. That's going into the Monsters and Treasures of Air. She's got quite a few pictures. I absolutely, Zoe's art is fantastic. I got to tell you, we're starting to showcase it over on the Patreon account. Sneak peeks behind the scenes. If you haven't checked that out, check out the Patreon. It's a lot of stuff. Zoe's art is absolutely through the roof. I'll let her know. Jumped with Kicker. I'll let her know. It's very good stuff. And well, thank you, Willie. We're hammering it. We got all kinds of stuff. We should be back next week with a regular new GM's Tricks of the Trade. Yeah, Barry, she was. I owe Tom Tullis. That was the funniest, literally, I think, the funniest meeting I have had, except the first one with Gary Gygax. Tom came to me and said, hey, there's this young lady. She's a pretty good artist. If you could find a place just to give her a start, it would be great. A favor to me, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, bring her over. Let me see. And he brought her over, and he started talking. She was 15 or 16. She's very young. And she gave me her sketchbook. And Tom was, trying to sell her. And I was looking at her sketches, and I was hired. It's literally exactly what I was looking for. Peter's a fantastic artist. He is a great artist. But he draws a little bit differently than I see things in my head. And Zoe, it's the strangest things. She and I say I want this, and she draws kind of what I'm imagining. It's nothing short of amazing. So working with Zoe has been just fantastic. And obviously Peter and Jason Walton are going absolutely nowhere. Fantastic artists. I love their art. But Zoe's got that. I don't know. There's a level of detail that goes into it that I don't know. I absolutely love. She's got it down. Zoe and I've moved her to Skype, so I'm talking to her daily now, trying to get more and more art, which is good. Just make sure that nobody replaces Steven's Dr. Pepper. Yeah, no replacing my Dr. Pepper. No one's even allowed in in the refrigerator without permission. So, they always muck up my method. I've got a method of the way to keep Dr. Pepper cold. So take one out, shift everything to the right. Take one out, shift everything to the right. Take from the right, shift to the right. When you put new stuff in, it goes on the left. Always to the left. Yeah, so no one's allowed in my Dr. Pepper fridge. Jason Wallace is fantastic as well. Oh, yeah, my God. Yeah, I sent Jason a whole bunch of work yesterday. Jason was the first artist we hired. Back in 1999, we hired Jason to do the covers for Fantastic Adventure and Mortality of Green and 𝐓𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐤𝐬 and the After Winter Dark campaign folio book. And we've been working with him forever, and his latest creations on the Player's Handbook and the Castle Keeper's Guide are just beautiful works of art, stunning works of art that both capture the old world of role-playing and maintain the new. If you haven't seen them, the Player's Handbook's all over trollord.com, www.trollord.com. You can see it all over the place. Absolutely fantastic. And the CKG cover it's right there with it. It's actually even more evocative, I think, than the PH cover. Those will be coming out in the next printings, which is the 8th and the 8th printing of the Player's Handbook and the something printing of the Castle Keeper's Guide. Well, it should be out in the coming months. Steve, is there time on the books for a TLG art book like 20 years of... we did one about 10 years ago. We're way overdue. There's some fantastic art out there. We did calendars, too, for a little while. I would love to bring calendars back. Is it the 4th penny? No, bit pumpkin, I think it's the 3rd. It might be the 4th. I don't know. It's the 3rd. So we are on the 3rd printing of the CKG. But we're way overdue for an art book. We really are. I would like to do a lot of these pieces come with stories and I'm not like action-packed stories, just the way they came about and things that we did to bring it out and bring it into existence. So it'd be kind of cool to write all of that stuff up and put it in an art book. I'd really like to do a calendar too. When I was a kid back in the 70s and 80s, before phones and all that BS, I always bought the Tolkien calendars. Davis bought Boris and Frazetta calendars. It's just good art that you got to hang on your wall, and you know what day it is, and you got to see some cool pictures. The desk of holding, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of crap in that desk of holding. I got to move something out because there's too much stuff in there. I'm afraid at one point it's just going to break my drawer because it's all these heavy hardbacks, and the more we go into color, the heavier these damn things get. That desk is very organized and able to withstand an explosion. It is. I could get under it and survive. There's no doubt. Now, a tornado might pick me out of it, but I don't think a tornado is going to pick the desk up. So we'll eventually get hit with one, so I'll let you know how that goes. But that's it for the Gems, Tricks of the Trade. The brothers Hildebrandt were fantastic. Oh, my God, that was great art. There's another one, too. I think it is actually Hildebrandt I'm thinking of. He did a lot of fantasy covers, too, I think. Just hyper detail. And I'm a sucker for hyper detail. I like to be able to look at a piece of art and just keep finding stuff. When all the grass is drawn and the coins and the carvings on it, it's just good stuff. Huge fan of that type of art. So where might these 17 threads be? So that's our RPG man. There's going to be my nephew who's sitting on my Tuesday night game, and he is tracking down. They are tracking down the Cloak of Red from the Codex of Erd, which has necessitated me creating all kinds of background material for Erd, which is very, very cool. But I got to give you the bounce boogie. We'll see you later, Clevers. Thanks for stopping by. That I don't know, Barry. I don't know if they're still with us or not. Good morning, Mr. Obadiah. Goodbye. All right, but that is it for us on... I would also like to know, yeah, Bit Pumpkin, we hear you. He's sitting across the table. That's it for Gems, Tricks of the Trade. We will see you on Tuesday for Ask Me Anything, and again on Thursday for another Gems, Tricks. And we got games, I think tonight, maybe, sometime. DM Samuel's running a game, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I'm something there, Dakota. But join us again. We'll be back here jibber-jabbering about this, that, and the other. And one of these days, we're actually going to open up a stream that just talks about movies and books, where we can all just BS about movies and books. Haunted Holler with a free code. Is that tonight? That's tonight. Okay, yes. All right. 7 p.m. Yeah, so 7 p.m. tonight at on this channel. Good God. Haunted Holler painting. There you go. Okay, that's it for me. I got to go drink this Dr. Pepper. All right, everybody. Y'all take care. We will see you next week. Have a great weekend, by the way. And watch out for that short trading that's going on. It's crazy. Y'all enjoy. Have a good weekend.